Hi, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Leah.
And this is Chick Chat with FancyFlip Events,
where we talk about wedding planning, our resale events, and our trailblazing journey as a new business. So names are really important, and when we were coming up with the name for our business, it was a little tough, I will tell you. We struggled a little bit on that. But names are very important, and this is kind of the story of how we became FancyFlip.
Yeah, I'm really kind of excited about this video. I mean, I love talking about the events and everything, but this one kind of gives you guys a little background information, a little backstory to how FancyFlip actually decided to be FancyFlip.
Right.
So to start this story off, I have to confess a little bit, Leah and I were a little bit stressed. We were putting everything together. We had a date for when we were going to launch everything. And the biggest thing that we lacked at the moment was a name.
Yes. We didn't have a name yet.
Yes, and we had literally thrown, I don't know, hundreds of things at the wall, trying to figure out, and nothing was quite fitting on exactly what we wanted to say. Yeah. And it's getting down to the wire, and we know we have to come up with something, and we're stressing out. And I'm at home one day, and I'm watching an episode of Flea Market Flip. And I thought to myself as I'm watching, I thought, well, that's pretty much what we do, but we do stuff that's way more, the stuff that you would buy at our events is way more fancy than you would see at a flea market. Yeah. But we are doing the flip. It's just that it's a fancy part of the flip. So I thought about that for a little bit, and later on I was meeting up with Leah at where we were using for an office at the time, and I remember this day as clear as anything. So I walked in. The office we were using was at an upstairs part of the building, and Leah, you were a couple of steps ahead of me. And I said, so I've been thinking about the name. What do you think about FancyFlip? And you stopped. I mean, you just stopped dead on the stairs. She turned around and she looked at me and she goes, that's it.
And we'd always talked about, like, when we hear it, we'll know. Yeah. When I hear the name, I'll know that that's what we want to use. Yeah. And that was it. So we went, and again, fancy part of it, a wedding is fancy. Any type of wedding, even the simplest and the smallest of weddings, it's a fancy occasion. Yeah. And so anything from a wedding is going to be fancy.
It's an upscale. It's you're not going to Walmart. You're having a wedding.
Yes. And the flip part, and we've got a couple of examples of how people, and we've seen this over the past couple of months especially, people are taking items that they're buying and they are transitioning them and using them for a different purpose, but it's the same item. So that's the flip part of the wedding.
Right. Obviously, if you're starting out and you're first finding out or hearing about FancyFlip at that stage of your life where you're engaged, you're going to attend the event as a buyer. But the flip comes in when after you've bought all of your stuff, you've had your wedding, now you're getting to pass that great stuff back on, make a little bit of money back, but you're getting it to flip it. And I mean, we hear about people flipping houses, we hear about people flipping cars.
Yes.
But what better thing to flip than a wedding?
Exactly. Not long ago we were in Toledo and we saw two people that were flipping items that they had previously bought at a FancyFlip event. One was a card box, and it was when they purchased it the first time, it had red ribbon and was a little bit more plain. Well, they took it and their colors were purple. They added purple ribbon and some just bejeweled it a little bit and made it a little bit more fit to their style of their wedding, and then they sold it.
And this was a nice tall stack. I mean, the structure itself of the box was really, really great, and all they had to do was just come up with a couple of little things, and they completely changed it and turned it into something that would work better for theirs. Yeah. And the funny thing about it too was you have a better eye than I do, but I remember as people were bringing things in, you were saying to me, I remember seeing that, but it was at a different location.
That's true, yes. We've seen things travel with us as well. So people who have bought with us in Columbus are going to Toledo or Indianapolis to Dayton.
So, you know, you can buy at 2 or 3 different locations and then come back and sell at a completely different location. And then you've really made the whole FancyFlip transition. Another great example that we did see not very long ago as well was we had it was actually the mother of the bride came. She was the seller, and I believe the bride and groom had done more of like a nautical theme, sailboats or something along that line, and it was beautiful. But I remember there was another girl there who was looking at the stuff that she had for sale, and it was really beautiful. And one thing in particular she had a bunch of these. They were about this big around, and they were sailor knots. And the girl was loving them. She probably had, what, 30 or 40? She had a lot. Yeah. And the girl was loving them, and she said, that's such a cute thing, but I really have all my centerpieces, and this...
It's not in my theme.
Yeah, it's not what I'm doing. And I said, well, what about you could take it, instead of being like nautical, you could do tie the knot. And I remember her eyes got about this big, and she was like, oh my gosh, and I don't have anything for my bridal shower yet. So that completely, not only did it go from a different theme, it went from a different event, because they had originally been used for a wedding ceremony, and now they were being used for a bridal shower. So that solves the mystery of why do we call ourselves Fancy Flip? So the next time you're at home and you're watching somebody flip a house, or you're watching Flea Market Flip, or any of those flip shows, just remember the best flip of all is a wedding flip, and that's Fancy Flip.
Exactly. So don't forget to like us on Facebook and sign up for our newsletters. And
we're going to head on over to the group, and I'm going to, as usual, post a conversation starter there. And if there's any other questions you have about what goes on behind the scenes with Fancy Flip, or if you have any questions about how we got started in our business, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Yeah.
So you can flip them in that way as well.
Now where do we go?
I don't know, you're looking at me like a deer in the headlights. I don't know what to do now.
I don't know how to tie that in.